Hi, my name's David Skeat and I'd like to talk to you about project management groups. A project management group is a group of at least 3 people that are appointed by the Australian Mercy Board to oversee one of our projects. This group of people look after all aspects of the project, and they meet at least 4 times a year. That's at least once a quarter. It doesn't matter if the people are living in different parts of the world. Skype and Google Hangouts and other such social media connections are available, but they need to meet at least 4 times a year to discuss and to evaluate the project and to tweak it and to make sure that it's on track and it's accomplishing the outcomes that are in the development proposal. Project management groups are important for the success of the project. They are the people who come up with the original project design. They are the people who oversee the implementation of the project. They are the people who report back to the Australian Mercy Board and also monitor the project. And they are involved in a continued process of evaluation and adjusting the project as need be. We hope that this little series of videos will help you better understand project management groups. Let's take a few minutes to talk about project design. The project design is the what about the project. It is actually what you're going to write down in your project proposal as to the outline of the project and how it will function. Sometimes when you look at a project design, you have to think that there are steps before outcomes. Your outcome might be that you are developing a project which is going to improve water in a particular community because the community is suffering from disease because of bad water. But there may be steps that you have to take in order to get that community on board before you can drill your first well. And so you need to think through the context of the project and involving the community in the project in your project design. Project design is always adaptable, and sometimes you need to adjust it. But we do that in part as we look at the evaluation process. Your project proposal will be the original design of the project. It will be written down, it will have goals that you are aiming at, it will have outcomes that you expect, and it will have a budget that matches it. Now, we just don't write a project down and then go into a community and do it. Local people need to be involved in the project design, and they can give us valuable information. Is the way that you are going to approach your project going to be offensive to that community for some reason? Those kinds of questions really need to be asked to the community, and they need to have some input so that they have ownership in the design of the project. Who is going to benefit? What is the project going to look like? Where is it going to happen? If there are, for example, many wells that need to be drilled in a particular community, where are they going to be drilled first and why? These kinds of questions need to be asked in the local community, and the local community will be able to give you the context by which you start your project. The project design is what is written into the project proposal, and the project proposal is what is lodged with the Australian Mercy Board for assessment and for approval. So your project design is really important and really needs to be thought through. We hope that as you look at the documentation that you download from our site, that this will make sense to you. We also know that budgets blow out or are overstated, but you have to start somewhere. So when you fill out your project proposal, it's okay. We will help you to adjust it and to get it to a realistic proportions. But over the 3-year life of this project, we expect that it will change, it will be adjusted, it will be tweaked, the budget may grow or shrink accordingly. But we have to start somewhere. Your project design is where we start, and it's recorded in the project proposal. So let's talk about project implementation. The implementation is the how of the project. You've designed your project, you've got an approximate cost, and now you're going to roll it out on site in the community in which you're working. You've set a budget. How are you going to get that budget together? The project management group needs to look at fundraising in order to make sure that the budget is met. The responsibility for the fundraising of the project rests with the project management group. Now, sometimes the Australian Mercy Office is able to help with this, and sometimes we're not. So we want you to be sure that when you take on a project that you are ready to fundraise for that project, and the timing of the implementation of your project may be delayed if you don't have enough funds in order to do it. There's also the cultural context. How are you going to roll out this project within the context of the community in which you're in? Hopefully very sensitively, but sometimes there is information that you didn't have at the time when you designed the project that you now have when you're doing implementation. And that means that you may have to adjust your project and you may have to make significant changes to it. So always be evaluating, always be listening, always make sure that the cultural context is not overridden by the project itself. The project management group, as part of its implementation, is also responsible to make sure that staff, both volunteer and full-time project staff, receive pastoral care that they need. If you have staff who are living in the field, they are under all kinds of pressure, and the project management group needs to be checking in with them regularly to find out how they are. If they are experiencing difficulties, how is it that the project management group can help them through these difficulties? Finally, in the rolling out of the project and the implementation, we need to make sure that the policies of Australian Mercy are upheld within the project site. We have zero tolerance of sexual abuse. We have zero tolerance of sexual harassment. We have zero tolerance of child molestation. These are just some of the policies that must be in place as the project is implemented. Staff and volunteers need to go through a process to make sure that they receive training in these areas. A lot of these processes will be offered online, but the project management group really needs to make sure that all volunteers that are going out to the project site are going through the proper volunteer process, and that they are doing this online training before they reach the project site. All staff are doing this training before they're employed on the project site. It's really important that these things are in place. It's important for us, because they are a legal requirement, and it's important also for the recipients in the project to know that the people who are in their community are safe. The people in their community are responsible. The people in their community are there for them and not for themselves. Reporting and monitoring is a very important function of a project management group. Every year, the project needs to give us 2 6-monthly reports, one in the first half of the year and one in the second half of the year. We have a template for this on our site, and this is a legal requirement that we have to fulfill. We will not be processing monies to projects that are more than 6 months behind in giving us these 6 monthly reports, so you need to be up to date. And these reports will tell us if there's any changes to your project design or your project proposal. It tells us how much money you've received and how much money you've spent, and any difficulties that you may be experiencing or any fantastic breakthroughs that you've had. It helps to keep us current with regards to the project. We also need an annual report. Now, the Australian Mercy fiscal year is from the 1st of May to the 30th of April, and we need you to report what you've done between these dates so we can publish this in our company reports. This is also a legal requirement that we have, and we'd ask you to lodge your report together with some high-resolution digital photos that we can also reproduce. Every year, particularly in projects that are overseas, we need to have the accounts of that project audited by somebody outside the company. Each year, every project will receive a monitoring visit. Most of the monitoring visits will happen with the project management group sending a delegation to that project and going through the process of monitoring it. Sometimes the Australian Mercy National Office will send people to that project to do the monitoring visit. Monitoring teams will look at things like accounting, will look at things like training to make sure that staff are being trained and accounts are being kept in an orderly manner, and they will also take photos and speak to staff and project leaders and bring back a written report which will be lodged with the Australian Mercy National Office. This is also a legal requirement we have here in Australia from the Department of Foreign Affairs and also the Australian Taxation Office. But whatever happens, every project will receive a monitoring visit at least once in every 12 months.